From the islands of Zion we ride. Ooh, truth in my heart, fire in my eye. Ooh, yeah, they hid the light, but we still survive. The Most High calling His tribes. Oh no.
From the islands to Zion we ride. Truth in my heart, fire in my eye. They hid the light, but we still survive. The Most High calling His tribe. And that's all the kings that we sing. Freedom ain't gold, it's a spiritual thing. We the ones the prophets did bring. Lost but found, now we can get. They say we free, but we still in chains. Babylon system.
Great day in the Bahamas to see y'all, man. I am happy to see this.
Y'all get all that we supposed to keep. No wrong cup, I sip living water. Teach these sons, protect these daughters. Stop it, said I ain't moving no brick. Word on my tongue, that's the real stick. Tell my Bahamian brothers, keep the light on. Tell my island sisters, stay Zion strong. No more dreams, chain to Babylon song. King returning, it won't be long gone. Them 10 we slow, but we wise, now you see. True crack open like the corns by the sea. Granny been say, boy, pray and stand firm. Now we know it's up, we finally learn. We ain't bowing to no idol king. Just coming, I feel that sting. From Freeport Dock to Cat Island Shore, we singing Revelation, Babylon, oh. From the islands to Zion we ride. Truth in my heart, fire in my eye. They hid the light, but we still survive. The Most High calling His tribe.
And He shall gather His people from the eyes as far off. Bahamas, Jamaica, Haiti, stand up, the truth has returned.
All praises be to the Most High. Once again, let's give all praises, honor, glory, esteem to the Father, the Ancient of Days, the Giver of life, the Taker of life, our Father Yahawah, and His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushai. Shalom, Shalawam, peace and blessings. The water for being here to all of the Ahchyam, all of the Ahchwathyam, brothers and sisters scattered to the four corners of the earth. Please do the ministry a favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, hit that thumbs up. And if you believe in your heart, mind, and soul that is edifying, then please share it. The water for joining us again on this first day of the week to break bread as we go into this course of the week. So it's good to break bread, get some of that food, get some of that bread as we go out into the world for the rest of these days, right? Until we meet back again on the Shabbat day. So as always, let's go ahead. Let's dive into the scriptures, right? Let's dive into the scriptures. Let's go here. Psalms. Turn with me to the book of Psalms. Chapter 119 and 105. What we're talking about today is what? Good and evil, light and darkness. Or light and dark. Good and evil, light and dark. Psalms 119, 105. That's where I want to go. I might start a little bit earlier than that, though. I think I'm going to do 103. And it reads in Psalms 119, 103, how sweet are the words unto my taste, yes, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Through thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every what? False way. Every false way. Anything that's false, anything that's a lie, we as believers and the children of Israel should hate that, right? People always ask, does he hate? Yeah, he hates. He hates every false way. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Once again, let me put it as big as I can put it. Psalms 119 and 105. And notice it's under the na, right? Which is, you see right here, none. This is a Hebrew alphabet. Why is it under the N? Well, when you look into the Hebrew and you look at that letter N, or na, as we call it, right? It means the offspring or the descendants of who? Israel, Yashra Allah. And it's telling the offspring or the descendants of who? Israel. Thy word is a lamp unto what? My feet. A lamp, right? And a what? Light. The whole message today is about what? Good, evil, light, and dark. And right here we see in the scriptures about light unto what? My path. That very word, it lightens your path so you can see in a place of what? Darkness. Before light came into the world, it was completely dark. Proverbs said in another way. Let's get it. Proverbs 6 and 23 real quick. Proverbs 6 and 23. Please turn there with me. Proverbs 6, chapter 6, verse 23. And it reads, for the commandment is a what? Lamp, and the law is light. So when people tell you that the commandments are done away with, or let's just keep it 100, the Mosaic law is done away with and we don't need it at all, then that's taking your light away down your path that you're living in the course of your life. When we read these things, this is why I encourage people to read from Genesis to Revelation, not just from Matthew to Revelation, but from Genesis to Revelation, so you can get a solid foundation, as the only begotten Son told us, right? Once again, for the commandment is a lamp and the law is a light, and the reproof of instructions are the way of life. Instructions. That's what the Torah is known as. So if you don't have this light, you can't be built on a what? Solid foundation. But he told us that if you listen and you hearken to him, let me get that real quick. Matthew 7:24, real quick. Here it is right here. Matthew 7:24. He says, therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock. So if you hearken, if you listen, you take heed to his word, he will liken you to who? A wise man, which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, the winds blew, beat upon the house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon what? A rock. But a different man comes along and doesn't believe that, hey, those commandments, those laws, they done away with. My pastor told me that. My daddy told me that. My mama told me that. Okay, let's see what the only begotten Son says. He says, everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto what? A foolish man. So those that say that they're done away with and they don't need to keep those commandments anymore, that they just rest in Hamashiach, the anointed one, the only begotten Son, he says, I'm likening that man. That man is like a foolish man, which built his house upon what? The sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell. And great was the fall of it. And it came to pass when Yahawaah had ended these sayings that the people were what? Astonished at his doctrine. Now, why were the people astonished at his doctrine, as opposed to the people that had been teaching for hundreds of years already? There were men there that have been teaching, masters. They were teaching the very word. Why was the only begotten son's word different and his doctrine different than what was being taught already? Because what's being taught today here in 2026 is not the same doctrine that we know that the only begotten son brought. For he taught them as one having authority and not as what? The scribes. So it's telling you there was scribes there. There were Pharisees there. There were men that were teaching and that knew the law. But was they teaching the people that? It tells us in John chapter 3. Let's go here real quick, John 3. Just to show you, it says in John chapter 3, verse 1, there was a man of the what? Pharisees, named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. So you had scribes, you had Pharisees, you had these people that were ruling over their people. And then he comes in verse 2 and said, the same came to YAHAWAH by night and said unto him, Rabbi, we know that thou art a teacher come from the Most High. For no man can do these miracles that thou doest, except the Most High be with him. YAHAWAH answered him and said unto him, truly, truly, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of the Most High. Nicodemus, as a ruler of the people, a Pharisee, he says, how can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter a second time into his mother womb and be born? YAHAWAH answers, truly, truly, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, the Rakah, he cannot enter into the kingdom of the Most High. So clearly Nicodemus, as a Pharisee, as a ruler, a shepherd over these people, he wasn't teaching these people these things. He had no understanding about being born again. None whatsoever. But yet there were men teaching, but their doctrine was totally different than what the only begotten son was telling them, because they were teaching the commandments of man and not the commandments of the Most High. That's the difference here. Good and evil, light and dark. They were teaching darkness. He was bringing forth what? Light. Let's get it. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3 real quick. Genesis chapter 3. Turn there with me, please. Genesis 3, verse 20. Genesis chapter 3, and I'm going to just jump down real quick to verse 20. This is in the garden, and it reads, Adamah, or Adam, as you would know it, called his wife Eve, because she was the mother of all living. And unto Adam also and his wife did the Most High Yahweh make coats of skin and clothe them. And Yahweh said, let's see what the Most High, the creator of everything. Let's see what he said in verse 22. It says, the Most High said, behold, the man is become as one of us. What made Adam become as one of them? We know where we were created in his image, but what made Adam and Eve become as one of them? It says to know good and evil. And now lest he put forth his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever. This is why they both got sent out of the garden. But the main thing I want you to capture here is that man have become as one of us, as the Most High is saying right here, to know what? Good and evil, light and dark. That's what this whole thing is about, good and evil. There's two sides. One is good and one is evil. And it's very simple. Which one are you standing on? What side are you standing on? And the Most High has to prove you to see what side that you're standing on. Let's get that Deuteronomy 18 real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 18. Deuteronomy chapter 18. It says right here in verse 9, when thou art coming to the land which Yahawah thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations, of those people. So wherever you go as a believer, you shall not take on or learn the customs of those people in different lands, no matter where you are. Because to the Most High is those things are abominations. You should have your own custom. And he gave you your customs. They're written in the Holy Bible that you say you believe in. Verse 10, therefore, Salakia, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination. Let me do it like this, because I know some people don't know what divination is. Let's do it like this. Let's do it layman terms. We're going to go to the New Living Translation in verse 10 and do it just like this. Same book, Deuteronomy. We're just reading out the NLT, which is the New Living Translation, Deuteronomy 18 and 10. It says, for example, never sacrifice your son or your daughter as a burnt offering, and do not let your people practice fortune telling or use sorcery or interpret what? Omens, or engage in what? Witchcraft. So is it okay to let your child dress up as a witch for Halloween? Is it okay if you walking on the beach or you walking somewhere and they like, mommy, I want to get my palms read, or mommy, or daddy, or even if it's just you as an adult, oh, I want to see what my fortune says. I want to get my fortune told. I want to see what's going to happen. That's fortune telling. Or what? Sorcery. So you shouldn't partake in these things because it's written in the very law, in the Torah, which is that rock that we talked about in Matthew 7 and 24. If you hearken to these things, he will liken you to what? A wise man or a wise woman. Verse 11, it says, or cast spells. So no, you can't go to, for an example, you can't go to Universal Studios and go to Harry Potter land and buy you one of those coats and buy you one of those wands and run around and act like you're casting spells on people. So no, you cannot partake in being, in Harry Potter land and doing those type of things. That's what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. That's what the Bible is saying. Or function as a medium, right? Or a psychic. People love to go to psychics. They want to speak to the dead. They want to speak to their grandmama that's died, or their daddy that died, or whatever. It says, or call forth spirits that are what? Dead. You can't do those things. It says this in the Bible. This is why it's important for you to read Genesis to Revelation. And I know many Christians that's going to say, well, all we have to do is obey the 10 commandments. That's all we have to do. Well, in the 10 commandments, one of the greatest commandments is that you must serve the Most High with all your heart, mind, and soul, right? And you must love him as you love your brother. Well, if you love him and he has told you, do not be calling forth dead spirits, don't act as a psychic, or don't go to see a psychic or a medium, and don't cast spells. Don't deal with these type of things. Why? Because in verse 12, it says, anyone who does these things is detestable to the Most High. It is because the other nations, the other people of the world have done these detestable things. So in his eyes, the way he look at it, him and his son, because however the father looks at it, the son looks at it too. The father don't look at it one way and then the son look at it another way, like, no, well, it's not detestable. Well, no, it's not that bad. No, if the father says it's detestable, then the son also agrees. And he's telling you it is why? Because these other nations of people have done these detestable things, that the Most High Yahawah, our power, will drive them out ahead of you. But you, as believers in his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, the anointed one who was hung on the tree, shed his blood for you, it says you must be what? Blameless before the Most High Yahweh, which is your power. This is what he's telling you. Verse 14, the nations, which is the people you are about to displace, consult sorcerers, fortune tellers. But the Most High Yahweh, your power, forbids you. It says he forbids you. So if the Father forbids you, can the Son go against the Father? Can the only begotten Son go against his Father? No, he can't. So if the Bible in Deuteronomy 18 and 14 is telling you that the Father forbids you to do such things, are you telling me now that we can do these such things because the Son came? Or does the Son agree with the Father? Well, we know the Son does everything that the Father tells him. We know this. All throughout the New Testament, he tells us that these are not my words. These are the Father's words. Everything that the Father asked me to do, I have done and I have accomplished it. So he would not disagree with the Father that he forbids you to do such things. Since we're talking about the only begotten Son, let's see what he says right here in verse 15. Moses continued, the Most High Yahweh, your power will raise up you a what? Prophet like me from among your fellow Israelites. You must listen to him. Who is it talking about? The only begotten Son that's going to come in the future. Moses is telling the people now here in the wilderness. He's giving them what? Light. He's giving them light right here. He's telling them you must listen to who? This only begotten Son, the Messiah. Verse 16. For this is what you yourselves requested. Most people don't even know this. They requested this, Moses said, of the Most High Yahweh, the Father, your power. When you assembled at Mount Sinai, you said, don't let us hear the voice of the Most High Yahweh, our power, anymore, or see the blazing fire, for we will die. Then the Most High Yahweh said to me, let me put it up some. He said to me, what they have said is right. He told Moses what the people said down there, they are right. He says in 18, I will raise them up a what? Prophet like you from among their fellow Israelite brethren. That's why he was born from Mary, flesh and blood, came out of a woman's womb, from a certain tribe, Judah. He was an Israelite from the 12 tribes of what? Israel. And he was from the tribe of Judah. It says right here to let you know that he will not disagree with anything, nothing that the Father said. He stands for everything that the Father stands for. He says, I will put my words in his mouth. Who words? The Father's words. The Father is saying right here that I'm going to put my words. I'm going to tell him exactly what to say when he gets to earth. Exactly what to say, I'm going to tell him. And he will tell the people everything the Father has commanded. Because it says, I command him. Who is commanding him? The Father. So everything the only begotten Son said, the Father had commanded him to say. I will personally deal with anyone who will not listen. Brothers and sisters, the Father, the Ancient of Days, the giver of life, the taker of life, our Father is telling us right here in Deuteronomy 18 and 19 that he will personally deal with anyone who will not listen to his only begotten Son, to the messages the prophet proclaims on my behalf. So no, you can't deal with witchcraft. You can't deal with fortune telling. You can't deal with sorcery. You can't deal with any of these things. Why? Because those things are dark. That's confusion. And we don't do things in confusion, as First Corinthians says. Is that not what he says? We don't do things in confusion. The Most High is not the author of what? Confusion. Darkness is confusion. That's what darkness is. Light is not confusion. If you don't know that, let me show you that real quick. Let's go back here. Let me go back here. Genesis chapter 1, and then we'll go to the light. Genesis chapter 1, right? The Bible starts off like that. The earth was out form, void, and darkness, right? Let's click on there and let's see what it says. Is it void, confusion, or darkness? Emptiness, void, waste, right? Undistinguished, right? That's void. Let me see. Let's see what it says about darkness. A secret place, misery, destruction, death, ignorance, sorrow, wickedness, obscurity, night. Okay, let's see right here. H20, 28, 21. It says in outline biblical uses to become or become dark, grow dim, be darkened, be black, be hidden, to grow dark, to have a dark color, to grow dim, primitive root, to be dark, be black, be marked, dark, darken, cause, darken, just dark, dark, dark. That's all it's talking about, right? Okay, now let me show you 1 Corinthians chapter 14. Let me see, 33, I think it is. Right here. So 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 33, and it reads, for the Most High is not the author of what? Confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. So we know he wouldn't give you one thing and then tell you, send a message by his only begotten Son as something else. He's telling you in Deuteronomy 18, already went through that, broke it all the way down, that he's going to send this prophet. He's going to put his words in his mouth, and you must listen and hearken to him. He even says this in John. Let's get this in John chapter 3. Let's go back to John chapter 3. John chapter 3, verse 19, right? Everybody like John 3 and 16, but what about John 3 and 19? And this is the condemnation, that light. This is what we talk about, good, evil, light and dark, right? That light is coming to the world, and men love what? Darkness rather than light, because their deeds were what? Evil. For everyone that doeth evil, they hated the what? Light. Neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be what? Reproved. He's going to tell him about himself. He's going to tell him like, hey, it's wrong for you to be doing what? Dealing in witchcraft, for an example. Hey, it's wrong for you to be what? Calling on the dead. Hey, it's wrong for you to be going to Universal Studios and partaking in Harry Potter land, buying you a cape with one of those wands and try to cast spells on people. Now, is it wrong to just go to Universal Studios? No. To enjoy yourself? No. But you shouldn't be purchasing a wand, trying to cast out spells and things like that, partaking in those type of things. And people take their kids there. They say that they Christians, say they believers, and they partake in those things. It says in verse 20, for everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be what? Manifest, that they are wrought in who? The Most High. I mean, he has told us to read this book. Let me get that real quick in the book of Isaiah, chapter 34. He has told us to read this book all the way through, not from just the New Testament. We have to understand when the apostles were on the earth, and so when YAHAWAH, the only begotten Son, when he was on the earth, there was not a such thing as a New Testament. There was no such thing as a New Testament book. The only thing they had was what? The Torah, the law, the prophets, and the writings, which we know today as the Tanakh. There was no such thing. There hadn't even been letters written yet. And we call those epistles. So those things didn't even exist until well after the only begotten Son was off the earth. I think the first epistle ever written, we can date back to, I think it's, if you look at the papyrus, which is one of the P's, I believe it's the P44. I think it was in what? 44 AD, 45 AD. And I believe, don't quote me, but I believe the Corinthians and things were written in 50 or 55 AD. So none of this was even wrote when he was on the earth. And yet he did not tell anybody to write new scriptures. He didn't come down here when he was on the earth and say, hey, write this down. We need to write this down and put this note. These were letters after he was dead, gone, resurrected, and went back to heaven. These were letters that were written to different bodies, or you want to say churches, in different parts of the world. And these were letters that were written to those particular individual people, those believers in that region. Not like 1 Samuel, not like Genesis, or not like Exodus, not like Leviticus. So no, the New Testament is not the same as what? The Tanakh or the Torah as we know it, but yet people supersede and put the New Testament over the Tanakh. It says, seek ye out of the book. This is Isaiah 34:16. It says, seek ye out of the book and what? Read, brothers and sisters. Do not throw away your salvation. Do not throw away your crown. Do not throw away receiving the palms in your hand and hearing, well done and faithful servant, because a man on this earth had told you you don't need to read that and you don't need to keep the law, statute, and commandments. If you give that type of authority to a man, you know, I'm telling you, and I'm telling you, the word is telling you, don't do those type of things. But he know that his people is rebellious. He know. And that's why they don't like the law. It tells you right here. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 30 real quick. He tells you. These are not my words. I'm just reading what he told us. He told us these things. He said the people hate his law. His people hate his laws. It says it right here. Isaiah 30, verse 8. And it reads, now go, write it before them in a table and note it in a book. So it's in a book for us. Isn't this what Paul says? Let me get that real quick before we finish reading that. I love this verse, Romans 15, real quick, and then we'll go right back here, right? Romans 15 and verse 4. It says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime, Isaiah was written aforetime, were written for our learning. So we need to go back and look over these things. Why? Because it was written for our learning. But when somebody tells you that those things are voided out and there's no need to read those things, well, that contradicts what Paul is saying right here in Romans 15:4. It's a contradiction. He says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures, like I told you, there was no such thing as a New Testament yet, because Paul wrote these things in, like I say, 55, 50 AD, some of them 40, 45 AD. The only begotten son was hung on a tree, murdered in 33 AD. So you're talking about 15 to 20 years later that these epistles were written. Epistle just means letters. Why didn't the only begotten son, if that was what he came to the earth to do, why didn't he tell his apostles, hey, sit down and write this down, and we're going to put this in a book? No, because he didn't have another message. He didn't have anything different to tell the people. He was telling the people the same thing that the Father was telling them back then. This is why Paul is referencing and letting us know those things that were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we can go back and review those things. And through those things, we might find what? Patience and comfort in what? The scriptures. So we might have what? Hope. So when we go back and we see something like this in Isaiah chapter 30, like I said, verse 8 right here, you see it on the screen. It says, now go write it before them in a table and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come. And how long? Forever. The time to come and forever, brothers and sisters. So you can't ball this up as a piece of paper. You can't negate and say, well, hey, when the son came, he put this and it's done and over with. The son wouldn't go against the Father's word. And Isaiah was a prophet of the Father. And he's telling them, or he's telling him, forgive me, to write this down. Write this down and note it in a book, that it may be for what? The time to come, for the future, forever and ever. Not in 33 AD it ends. It says forever and ever. That what? Verse 9, that this is a rebellious people, brothers and sisters. He understands that this is a what? Rebellious people. He says lying children. So if he's telling you that you are amongst a rebellious people and lying children, what are they lying about? What could they possibly be lying to you, me, and other people in this world about? He goes on to say, children that will not hear the law of the Most High YAHAWAH. That's what they're lying about. They don't want to hear it. They said it is done away with. We don't have to hearken. We don't have to listen. We don't have to pay attention to it anymore. We don't have to nothing. And he says that they are rebellious. Let me do this in a comparative text. Watch this. I always go to this. New Living Translation. Once again, we still in the same book, Isaiah chapter 30, and we just read verse 9. It renders like this in the New Living Translation, NLT, that these people are stubborn, rebels, who refuse to pay attention to what? The Most High instructions, because that's what the law is. It's instructions. That's why he gave us the law, because those are his instructions. So when you say that it's done away with, you're taking, as I started off this lesson, Psalms 119 and 105, Proverbs 6 and 23, you're taking the light that he has given you away and throwing it in the trash, saying you don't need his light, that you would rather live in what? Darkness, that you would rather live in what? Evil, wickedness. We know this because in verse 10 it says, tell the seer. For those who don't know what seer is, that's what they call prophets in the day, right? So it's like, tell your pastor, tell your bishop, tell your elder, stop seeing visions. They tell the prophets, don't tell us what is what? Right. Pastor, don't tell us what's right. Just tell us what? Nice things it says. Is this not what the congregation tells? If the pastor gets up and tell you some things that you don't want to hear, they will fire that pastor. They will remove him from that church. They will remove him from that congregation. They bet that pastor, that bishop, that elder, whoever he is, he better stand up there on Sunday morning and tell them people nice things. And the people also says, tell us what? Lies, because they really know the truth deep down inside. Deep down inside, they really know the truth. But if the pastor is willing to get up there on the pew and lie to the congregation, then they feel better in the inside, because at least he told them he's supposed to be the shepherd. Forget all this gloom. Don't tell us about all this death, destruction. Don't tell us about the lake of fire. Don't tell about it. Don't tell us about if we sin, how we gonna be cast down. Don't tell us about all this gloom, as it says right here in verse 11. Forget all this gloom. We don't want to hear about that. It says, get off your narrow path, brothers and sisters. Stop sounding so high-minded. It says, stop telling us about your Holy One of Israel. Isn't that who we're supposed to hear about? The Holy One of Israel, the Father and his only begotten Son. I thought that's why people come to church, to hear of the Holy One and his only begotten Son. That Bible that you have, it says Holy Bible. So wouldn't you want to hear from the Holy One? It says right here, this is what the Most High says in verse 12. This is the reply of the Father, the Holy One of Israel, because you despise what I tell you and trust instead in oppression and what? Lies. He's telling us that people today, and even back then, they despise what instructions he has given us and is telling us. And they trust in what? Darkness rather than light, brothers and sisters. And then we wonder why the world is the way it is today. Why? Because he says in 13, calamity will come upon you suddenly, like a bulging wall that bursts and falls in an instant. It will collapse and come crashing down. He's tired. He's given us so many chances. Chance after chance after chance. And yet we throw it all away. We throw it all away for what? Darkness. For evil. For wickedness. That's the difference between good and evil, light and dark, brothers and sisters. What are we going to stand for? Are we going to stand up for him? I mean, that's a question, you know. Are we going to stand for the Most High? Shalawam, Sister Dorothy Thawada, for being here. She says, Shalawam, Mashkapat Thawada, Sister Dorothy, for being here. All praises be to the Most High. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. And I just want to read this real quick. It says right here in 1 Thessalonians 5 and 4, but ye, brethren, are not in what? Darkness, that the day should overtake you as a thief. Why are you not in darkness? Because you have received the light. The only begotten Son, I just read to you in John 3:19, he says that what? Light has entered into the world. So he is light. He was sent here by the Father. So he's letting us know here in verse 4 that you're not in darkness anymore, that the day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are what? Children of light, brothers and sisters. Why? Because the only begotten Son came into the earth to not only show us, but give us that life. Give us that light. As John said, that light that lightens a man's life. He illuminated us. Just as Moses, when he went and spoke to the Most High, when he came back, how his face shined to where he had to put a veil over it. Why? Because he was illuminated. The same thing for you, brothers and sisters. The exact same thing for you. You are the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in what? The night. Why? Because it's dark in the night. Light and dark. And they that be drunken are drunken in the night. But let us, who are of the day, which is light, be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for an helmet, the hope of salvation, brothers and sisters. Good and evil. Which one do you stand for? It's almost very simple, but then again, it's not. You know, and these are the things that we have to ask ourselves eternally. I read this one yesterday on the Shabbat in 1 Corinthians, and I'll just bring it out again, chapter 13, you know, because Paul says the same thing. I read it yesterday, but it goes so good with this right now on the first day of the week. It says, when I was a child, I spake as a child, and I understood as a child, and I thought as a child. When you didn't know any better, that's how you thought. You thought in a dark sense, in a dark way. But now you have the understanding of the only begotten Son. And everybody says this, not only Paul, Peter says the same thing. I'll show you in Peter. He says, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. Let's go to Peter real quick. First Peter. Let's go to Peter 4. This is what Peter says. He's dealing with good and evil, light and dark. He says, for as much then as Hamashiach, the only begotten Son, the anointed one, the Messiah, have suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourself likewise, brothers and sisters, with the same mind. For he that have suffered in the flesh have ceased from what? Sin. That he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of man, but to the will of the Most High. For the times past, let me put it up some, verse 3. For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles. When we walk, Peter says, when we, letting you know that he walked like this. He is not excluded. Neither am I excluded. Neither are you excluded. He's telling us when we walk in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revelings, banqueting, and abominables, what? Idolatry, brothers and sisters. Wherein they think it strange that you run not with them no more. Those people that you separated yourself from because you say, you know what? Hey, I really believe in the only begotten son. I believe that he hung on that tree. I believe that he was pierced on the side. Blood and water came out. I believe that he had a crown of thorns on where blood was dripping from his head. I believe that he was beat. I believe that he was whipped. I believe that they ripped his clothes off. I believe that they wanted to stone him. I believe that his death was wrong. You believe all of these things. So now that you have what? You say, look, I'm going to live right for him and his father because that's what he told me. Now, when you make this proclamation to people in your life around you, family and friends, and you stop doing certain things and you stop living what? An evil life, stop living in a darkness or living in darkness, I should say, what happens? It says when they think it's strange that you run not with them to be the same assets of right. He's speaking what? Evil of you now. Now they want to call you names. Now they want to say you think you too good. Why? Because there's a separation. There's always a separation between good and evil, light and dark. It's always going to be a separation there. Even within inside yourself, those two natures within inside yourself, they're contrary to one another. Once you get this understanding, you will know even within inside of your own body, there's good and there's evil. Paul goes into this in Romans, what's that? Romans 7. Let me see. About the two natures. Yeah, here it is, right here. He goes into great detail about it. Why does he go into such great detail? Because as believers, this is the things that we're going to go through. Good and evil. The light that's within you, which is the spirit, and the darkness that's within you, which is what? The flesh. He says in 14, for we know that the law is spiritual, but I am what? Fleshly. Let's get it in the NL. Let's just break it down all the way, right? Real quick. All praises to the Most High that we able to go and just get it like this now, you know. Here it is once again. So 14 again from the top. Read from the New Living Translation, which is the NLT, right? Here we go. Romans 7 and 14. It says, so the trouble is not with the law, brothers and sisters. Once again, we've been speaking on this from the beginning. So the trouble is not with the law, for it is spiritual and what? Good. The whole lesson today is about what? Good, evil, light, and dark. Paul right here is saying there's nothing wrong with the law. The law is spiritual and good. So anybody who tells you to do away with that or is done away with, you don't need that, don't read that, they contradict what Paul says. Paul says it's spiritual and good. The trouble is with me. Paul is letting us know that he's putting it all on the table, brother. He's not hiding. He's not letting you think that he's better than what he is. He said, the trouble is with me. For I am all too human, a slave to sin. Letting you know that sin has a hold of who? Paul. One of the great men that the only begotten son used. Yes. He was a slave to what? Sin. I don't really understand myself. If I want to do what is right, but I don't do it. Instead, I do what I hate. He says, I don't even understand my own self. He's letting it be known. I don't understand my own self. I want to do what's right, but I can't. I just don't know what's going on inside of me. 16. But if I know that what I'm doing is wrong, this shows that I agree that the law is good. So I'm not the one doing wrong. It is what? The sin living in me that does it. So he is acknowledging, brothers and sisters, that there is an evil, there is a darkness that is living inside of him and each and every one of us. And I know that nothing good lives in me, that is in my sinful flesh. I want to do what is right. He says, but I can't. Are you better than our brother Paul? Shalawam, brother Uzi the water for being here. He says, peace and blessings. The water, all praises to the Most High for being here, Uzi. Breaking bread on his first day of the week. Are you better than the brother Paul? He says he can't. And we know he took it all the way to the death with him. And he said he's having a problem. I want to do what is right, but I can't. Verse 19. I want to do what is good, but I don't. I don't want to do what is wrong, but I do it anyway. Does any brother or sister out there listening to this or that may hear this at a later time, do you feel this way? I know I do. I do. Why? Because this is the true battle of good and evil and light and dark within our own self. Not only in the world that we live in, but within our own flesh that we have. He says, but if I do what I don't want to do, I'm not really the one doing wrong. It is who? The sin, that evil living inside me that does it. So he's not only, one thing he is acknowledging that it's something living inside of him. Two, he's letting you know that it's evil. It's dark. And it goes against the very thing that the spirit wants to do. I have discovered this principle of life, that when I want to do what is right, I inevitably do what is wrong. Has anybody ever felt that way? Has anybody in their heart, in their mind, in their soul, have you ever felt that way? Coming to the only begotten Son and wanting to do what's right and wanting to live right, but still end up doing what is wrong? Well, brothers and sisters, know that you're not the only one. Know that Paul went through the same thing that we are going through. And that's a beautiful thing. And let me tell you why it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing because that lets you know that you're getting closer and closer and closer with the only begotten Son and his Father. Because the same things that Paul went through and all the apostles went through is the same thing that you are going through. And if they had to go through it, we have to go through it. He says, I love the Most High law. So I don't know who keep telling people that it's done away with and don't look at it, don't read it, don't know it, don't listen to it. Paul says, I love his law with all my heart. But there is another power. There's another power within me that is at war with my mind. So there's a war going on in where? In your mind, brothers and sisters. If you really are living for the only begotten Son and the Father. Like I say, if you really are doing this, there's a war going on inside your mind. This power makes me a slave to sin that is still within me. 24, he says, oh, what a miserable person I am. Who will free me from this life that is dominated by sin and death? Thank the Most High. All praises be to the Father. The answer is in YAHAWAH HaMashiach, our master. So you see how it is. In my mind, I really want to obey. He says in his mind, brothers and sisters, in his mind, he's telling us in Romans 7:25, he's making it very clear in his mind, I really want to obey the Most High's law. But because of my sinful nature, my sinful flesh, I am a slave to sin. And this is why when people get to Romans 8, as we click over to the next chapter, this is why he says this right here. So now there is no condemnation for those who belong to who? The only begotten Son. And because you belong to him, the power of the life-giving Spirit has freed you, brothers and sisters, from the power of sin that leads to what? Death. I mean, I can keep going, but I'm not, I'm not. I don't want to take too much of your time on this first day of the week. I just wanted to break some bread with my brothers and sisters out there and go over this a little bit of good and a little bit of evil, get a little bit of light and a little bit of dark. Let me go here real quick. Proverbs chapter 23. I'm going to just go right to it because I don't want to hold nobody too long. Proverbs 23 and 12, it says, apply thine heart unto what? Instructions, and thy ear to the words of knowledge, brothers and sisters. Where can you find the instructions? In the Torah. So we should put our ear to what? The Torah, to the words of what? Knowledge. If you don't know that that's where the knowledge is, this is why we're here to tell you. This is where the knowledge is. This is where the wisdom is. This is where the understanding is, brothers and sisters. These are not my words. This is what was delivered to us aforetime for our learning. Sister Dorothy says, been there, done that. A daily what? Battle. Just as Paul is honest, she is honest. And that's what we have to be with one another. Honest. The battlefield of what? The mind. Flesh wars with the spirit. Shake my head. And we have to be honest with that. We have to let it be known that it's other brothers and sisters out there who may be ashamed and don't know that they have that power. As I always tell them. One I always like to, let's go to Joshua real quick. Chapter 1, verse 8. Everybody know the classic. He tells us this. I'll start at 7. It says right here, only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law, which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whatsoever thou goest. The book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein, brothers and sisters. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Verse 9, have I not commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Most High YAHAWAH, thy power is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. Wherever you go, he is with you, brothers and sisters. This is why I always tell brothers and sisters in Proverbs 3 and I think it's 3 and 5 and 6, acknowledge him no matter what you're going through, no matter what you have done. Proverbs 3 and 5, trust in Yahweh with all thy heart and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Why? Because you are the salt of the earth. Matthew 5. We started what? 13 I think it is. Right here, Matthew 5 and 13, brothers and sisters. I'm sorry if I'm moving fast. Let me slow down, because sometimes some of the brothers be like, hey man, you going so fast, slow down, brother. I know you in the spirit and whatnot, but let us get there with you. So Matthew 5 and 13, It says, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing but to be cast out and to be trodden underfoot of man. And everybody that eats something, if you have ever cooked something, simple things like tacos or spaghetti or a hamburger even. Listen, you get some salt out of that cabinet, a little pepper, a little onion powder. Why? Because you want that burger to taste good. So you need that salt to make that thing become good and savory. And the Bible is telling us that you, as a believer, are that. You are the salt of the earth. So we need you in the earth because you are the salt. Just as well as 14 says, you are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid, Salakia. Neither do man light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and give it light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before man that they may see your good works and glorify who? Your Father, which is in heaven, in the Shemayim. And he goes on to tell us right here in verse 17, think not that I come to destroy the law. He's telling you, this is the only begotten son telling you, brothers and sisters, don't let it into your mind. And you can get it in any comparative text that you would like. I know some people don't like the King James. Some people love the King James. But it is right here, anything you want. New King James, he says, do not think that I came to destroy. The New Living Translation says, do not misunderstand why I have come. I did not come to abolish the law of Moses or the writings of the prophets. No, brothers and sisters, he didn't. NIV, it says, do not think that I have come to abolish the law. ESV says the same thing. The CSB, no matter where you go, it is telling you, do not think this in your mind. This is why he tells you, and what is that? This is why he tells us in Matthew 7:21, this, brothers and sisters. And I know not everybody likes to hear this, but this is what he says. Not everyone that saith unto me, Master, Master, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name cast out devils? And in thy name done many wonderful works? And as I always show, he says, then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. And when you go to the comparative text, like I say, any translation that you go to, it tells you right here. It says in the New King James, lawlessness. NLT, those who break the Most High laws. The NIV, evildoers. ESV, lawlessness. CSB, the ones who what? Depart from me, you law breakers. What law? The Mosaic law. The law that was given on Mount Sinai. And you see in any translation you go to is talking about lawlessness. But it's somebody out there that says, I know they say, well, it doesn't say what law. Well, let's click on it and find out. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing about technology. It's at the fingertip of your hand. If you really want to know the truth, there it is. It's the Greek 458. For those who have a concordance and want to go into the word, you can go into it. It says it right here. The outline biblical usage. This is not me. These are scholars that wrote this well before I was even born and thought of. They wrote this down. It says the condition without what? Law. Because of ignorant of it or because of violating it. It's telling you iniquity, wickedness. I.e. an example when it says strong definition down here, it says violation of what? The law. But then we go up to the etymology and it says right here, the root of where this word comes from, as you can see on the screen, and we go here to the Greek 459, and then it tells you right there, the outline biblical usage. It says destitute of what? The Mosaic law. Verse 2, departing from the law, a violator of the law, lawlessness and wickedness. So this is why the only begotten son is going to tell people on that day, depart from me. Why? Because they departed from what? The Mosaic law. They didn't keep it. They didn't keep it. That's what it says right here. Departing from what? The law. A violator. That's what the Bible says. Now you can get upset, you can get mad, you can do anything you want to do. But the word is the word. Romans chapter 13. I'm going to start at verse 11. Brothers and sisters, we know now, these things are not hidden. Sister Dorothy says, Khan, these things are not hidden. It reads in verse 11, and that knowing the time, that now is high time to awake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than we believe. The night is far spent, brothers and sisters. The day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of what? Darkness. And let us put on the armor of what? Light. The whole class is about what? Good, evil, light, dark. Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering or wantonness, not in strife or envying, but put ye on the Master, YAHAWAH HaMashiach, and make no provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof. And I want to show something to a couple brothers and sisters that's willing to hear me out. For those who have ears to hear, please hear. Let me just show this real quick. For those who have it, please turn with me to Second Baruch. Second Baruch. Chapter, let me see. I'm going to just go right to what I wanted to show. I'm going to go to chapter 44. You can see it on the screen. If you don't have the book, it's okay. I'm going to show it to you right here. Right? And this is Baruch. If you don't know who Baruch was or who he was, that was Jeremiah's scribe, right? Now, this is what he's writing in the book of Baruch, chapter 44. I want to get it as big as I can. I'm going to start at verse 2, right? Because all verse 1 really says is that he went forth and he called his people, called his firstborn son, and then he called the elders, right? But in verse 2, it says, behold, I go unto my fathers according to the way of all the earth. But withdraw you not from the way of what? The law. But guard and admonish the people which remain, lest they withdraw from the commandments of the mighty one. Verse 4. For you see that he whom we serve is just, and our creator is no respect of person. Let me highlight it because it's so small. Verse 5. and see you what have befallen Zion and what have happened to Jerusalem. Verse 6. For the judgment of the mighty one shall thereby be made known, and his ways, which through past finding out are right. For if you endure and preserve his fear and do not forget his law, the times shall change over you for good, brothers and sisters, and you shall see the consolation of Zion. Verse 8, because whatever is now is nothing, but that which shall be is very great. For everything that is corruptible shall pass away. Everything that we see today and we know of shall pass away. Verse 9. And everything that dies shall depart, and all the present times shall be forgotten, nor shall there be any remembrance, no remembrance of the present time, which is defiled with evils, brothers and sisters. Verse 10. For that which runs now runs unto vanity, and that which prospers shall quickly fall and be humiliated. Verse 11. For that, let me highlight it because I know it's small. For that which is to be the object of a desire, and for that which comes afterwards shall we hope. For it is a time that passes not away. Eternal life. That's what he's talking about. It won't pass away. We won't pass away no more, brothers and sisters. That time, and we won't pass away no more. This is what he's talking about. Verse 12. Now listen to this. And the hour comes which abides forever, and the new world comes which does not turn to corruption. Those who depart to its blessedness, and has no mercy on those who depart to torment, and leads not to perdition those who live in it. Verse 13. For these are they who shall inherit that time which has been spoken of, and theirs is the inheritance of the promised time. What is he speaking about? The kingdom. He's speaking about everything that has to do with the future. 14. These are they who have acquired for themselves treasures of wisdom, and with them are found stores of understanding, brothers and sisters. And from mercy have they not withdrawn, and the truth of what? The law have they preserved. So anybody out there telling you, he's talking about the kingdom. He's talking about the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Shemayim. So anybody out there telling you that the law is done away with, don't keep the law, you don't have to worry about that. He's telling you right here, those that have what? Preserve the law. It says in verse 15, for them shall be given the world to come. Who? The ones that preserve the law. Those are the ones that are going to inherit the world to come. But the dwelling of the rest, who are many, shall be in the fire. That's why Hamashiach Yahushua said that in Matthew 7:21. In 45, chapter 45, it says in verse 1, do you therefore so as far as you are able, instruct the people. This is what we're doing here today, brothers and sisters. For that the labor is ours, brothers and sisters. Verse 2. It says, for if you teach them, you will quicken them. What does it mean to quicken? I went over that yesterday on the Shabbat. It means to give them life. So if you tell them the truth and you teach them the truth about the law, statute, and commandments and preserve that, it says that you are really giving those brothers and sisters what? Life. You will quicken them. Let's see what the people say that his audience, and then I'll close out with that. His audience that he's speaking to, let's see what they say back. This is chapter 46 now. And my son and the elders, because this is who he was talking to, his oldest son and the elders, like I explained to you, brothers and sisters. He says, and my son and the elders of the people answered and said unto me, has the mighty one humiliated us to such a degree as to take you from us quickly? And truly we shall be in what? Darkness. Look at what they say. They're going to be in what? Darkness. And there shall be no what? Light to the people who are left. For where again shall we seek what? The law. They saying if they don't have the law, that they're going to be what? In darkness. If Baruch leaves, he knows the law. How can they know it? This is what they saying. If you leave, then what are we going to do? You know the law. And they said, well, how can we seek it if you leave? Therefore, we're being what? Darkness. Or who will distinguish for us between death and life? Because that's what he was doing while he was there. He was telling the people the truth, giving them the words of the Most High, letting them know the law, telling them between death and life. Verse 4, and it reads, and I said unto them, the throne of the mighty one I cannot resist. Nevertheless, there shall not be wanting to Israel a wise man, nor a son of what? The law. Let me just highlight that whole part. To the race of who? Jacob. You ain't got to worry about it, Jacob. The Most High gonna take care of you. He gonna make sure you always got what? The law. Verse 5. But only prepare your hearts that you may obey the law. Now he talking about the kingdom. He talking about where he going. The Most High don't told him he gonna take him. He gonna be with the rest of the other people. He's telling he's getting his son and all of the other people that's around him ready, prepared, because he's finna leave. He said, I'm finna go be with my fathers, meaning he finna die. He's telling you. And the word that he's leaving them, that the Most High told him to leave his people, is to do what? It says, but only prepare your hearts that you may obey the law and be subject to those who are in fear, are wise and understanding, and prepare your souls that you may not depart from them. For if you, verse 6, for if you do these things, good tidings shall come unto you. Wherefore, Salakia, which I before told you of, nor shall you fall into what? Torment, brothers and sisters. No torment. Of which I testified to you before, but with regard to the word that I was to be taken, I did not make it known to them or to my son. So he didn't even tell the people and his son that he was going to be taken, because they probably couldn't handle it. You know, they couldn't handle it. That's what it says. But with regard to the word that I was to be taken, I did not make it known to them or to my son. They probably couldn't take it. You know, internally, they was already shook up just that he had been away for 7 days. You know, if you have never read Baruch, it's kind of like Ezra, when Ezra would have to go and fast and things like that, and then the Most High would come back and he would tell him certain things. So it's kind of like that, you know. Let me get one more if I get out of here real quick. The book of Sirach, chapter 39. For those who don't know, that's the 1611 King James Bible. If you don't have one, I would encourage you to get you one, the 1611 King James Bible, the book of Ecclesiastic Us, right? And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just wanted to get a little bit of it since we was talking about it today. Once again, the 1611 King James Bible, the book of Ecclesiastic Us, and it reads 39:1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecy. He will keep the sayings of the renowned man, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of the grave sentences and be conversant in dark parables. He shall serve among great men and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he have tried the good and the evil among men. He will give his heart to resort early to the Most High Yahawah that made him, and will pray before the Most High, and will open his mouth in prayer and make his supplication for his sins. When the great power of the Most High Yahawah will, he shall be filled with the Rakah, the spirit of understanding. He shall pour out wise sentences and give thanks unto Yahawah in his prayer. He shall direct his counsel in knowledge, and in his secrets he shall meditate. He shall show forth that which he have learned, and shall glory in the law, brothers and sisters, of who? The covenant of the Most High Yahawah. Many shall commend his understanding, and so long as the world endured, it shall not be blotted out. His memorial shall not depart away, and his name shall live from generation to generation. Nations shall show forth his wisdom, and the congregation shall declare his praise. If he die, he shall leave a greater name than 1,000. And if he live, he shall increase. What is it talking about? It's talking about a man that not only learned the law, because we get in verse 1, when we go back up, what does it say? But he that giveth his mind to what? The law. So it's talking about a man or a woman that gives their mind to the law and meditates on what? The law, that they become wise and they be able to tell people about the very law, about the very word of the Most High, the Father, and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushua. Hopefully this was edifying for you. I didn't want to make it long because I know it's the first day of the week. You know, people got things to do. They're getting ready for their work week. But I did want to break bread on the first day of the week. So hopefully it was edifying for you, you know, about this good and evil, this light and dark. If you believe it was edifying, as always, please share it with somebody so the other brothers and sisters could be edified. And join us again on the third day of the week, and on the fifth day of the week, and on Shabbat. For those who don't know what the third day is, that's Tuesday. The fifth day, the third day is Tuesday. The fifth day is Thursday. And then the Shabbat is Saturday. So please join us. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you can be notified when we go live. And if you believe in your heart and your mind, like I say, you believe it's edifying, share it and hit the thumbs up. With that, I'm going to get ready to close out. As always, I'll play the short video for the brothers and sisters that may have missed it when we came in. But I do encourage you to join us on the third day of the week, this Tuesday at 6 p.m. With that, the water for everybody being here, Sister Dorothy, Uziyah, and anybody else that's in the building, Mayana Pasha, anybody else that's in the building, the water, thank you for being here and joining us. The Sister Dorothy says, the water, have a beautiful night. Shalawam, all praises be to the Most High. As we go out, I'm going to play this short video, and I say, Kwam Yasharallah and Shalawam. Let me play this for the brothers and sisters. And if you like it, the link is in the description box. Here we go.
From the islands of Zion we ride. Ooh, truth in my heart, fire in my eye. Ooh, yeah, they hid the light, but we still survive. The Most High calling his tribes. Oh no.
From the islands to Zion we ride. Truth in my heart, fire in my eye. They hit the light, but we still survive. The Most High calling his tribe. And that's all the kings that we sing. Freedom ain't gold, it's a spiritual thing. We the ones the prophets did bring. Lost but found, now we can get. They say we free, but we still in chains. Babylon system.
Great day in the Bahamas to see y'all, man. I am happy to see this.
Y'all gave all that we supposed to keep. No wrong cup, I sip living water. Teach these sons, protect these daughters. Sabbath said I ain't moving no brick. Word on my tongue, that's the real stick. Tell my Bahamian brothers, keep the light on. Tell my island sisters, stay I'm strong. No more dreams, change the Babylon song. King returning, it won't be long gone. Them 10 we slow, but we wise, now you see. True crack open like the corns by the sea. Granny been say, boy, pray and stand firm. Now we know it's that we finally learn. We ain't bowing to no idol king. Johnson coming, I feel that sting. From Freeport Dock to Cat Island Shore, we singing Revelation, Babylon, oh, oh, oh. From the islands to Zion we ride. Truth in my heart, fire in my eye. They hit the light, but we still survive. The Most High calling his tribe.
And he shall gather his people from the eyes afar off. Bahamas, Jamaica, Haiti. Stand up, the truth has